Listen very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between keeping your green card and losing everything you've worked for in the United States. If you're a green card holder right now in 2026, there is a critical error that thousands of lawful permanent residents are making, and immigration officers are watching. And the consequences are deportation, removal proceedings, and permanent bars from ever returning to America. This is not a drill. This is happening right now, and you need to know what's going on before it's too late. Welcome to U.S. Visa Today, your trusted source for the latest U.S. immigration news and updates that actually matter to your future in America. I'm here to break down the most important USCIS updates so you can protect yourself and your family. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now because we cover critical U.S. visa latest news every single day, and this channel could literally save your immigration status. So here's what's happening. Immigration enforcement in 2026 has shifted in a way that most people don't realize, and green card holders are now facing unprecedented scrutiny for mistakes they don't even know they're making. The error I'm talking about is not about crimes, it's not about fraud, it's something that seems innocent, something that millions of green card holders do every single year without thinking twice, but USCIS and Customs and Border Protection are now treating this as grounds for removal. This just changed, and the enforcement is aggressive. The critical error is this: extended absences from the United States without proper documentation or understanding of the abandonment rules. Now, I know what you're thinking. You think you know the rules. You think as long as you come back within 1 year or you have a re-entry permit, you're fine. But that's not the full story anymore. Immigration officers at the port of entry are now questioning green card holders who have been outside the United States for just 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And they're looking at patterns. They're looking at where you're living, where you're working, where your family is, where you pay taxes. And if they determine that you've abandoned your permanent residence, they can take your green card on the spot. You don't get a warning. You don't get a second chance. You get handed a notice to appear in immigration court, and your American dream is over just like that. This is the green card update today that nobody is talking about, but it's destroying families right now. The problem is that the definition of abandonment is not just about time. It's about intent, and immigration officers have been given broader discretion to make that determination. They're asking questions like, why were you gone so long? Where do you work? Do you have a home in the U.S.? Do your children go to school here? And if your answers don't satisfy them, they're initiating removal proceedings right there at the airport. This is not a scare tactic. This is documented. This is happening at JFK, at LAX, at Miami International, at every major port of entry across the country. Most people don't realize this, but even if you have a re-entry permit, which allows you to stay outside the U.S. for up to 2 years, that does not guarantee you won't face questioning or that officers won't challenge your intent to maintain permanent residence. The re-entry permit is evidence, but it's not absolute protection. If you've been living abroad, working abroad, and only coming back to the U.S. occasionally, officers can still argue that you've abandoned your status. And here's the terrifying part. Once they make that determination, the burden of proof shifts to you. You have to prove in immigration court that you did not abandon your green card. And that process can take months or even years. And during that time, you cannot work, you cannot travel freely, and you're living in limbo. So what changed in 2026 that's making this worse? The enforcement priorities have shifted dramatically. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, along with Customs and Border Protection, have been given directives to focus not just on undocumented immigrants or criminals, but on anyone who is not maintaining lawful status, and that includes green card holders who are deemed to abandon their residence. The U.S. visa latest news coming out of Washington shows that there's a push to tighten immigration enforcement across the board, and lawful permanent residents are not exempt. The message is clear. If you're not living in the United States, if you're not contributing to the U.S. economy, if you're not maintaining ties here, then you don't deserve to keep your green card. And there's another layer to this that's even more concerning. USCIS has updated their internal guidance on how officers should evaluate abandonment cases, and they're now looking at social media, they're looking at employment records abroad, they're looking at property ownership in other countries, and they're using all of that information to build a case against you. This just changed in the last few months, and most green card holders have no idea that their online activity and their financial ties abroad are being monitored and used as evidence. Now, let me tell you exactly what you need to do to protect yourself. First, if you're a green card holder and you're planning to be outside the United States for more than 6 months, you absolutely must apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. Do not wait until you're already abroad. Do not assume you'll be fine. Get that re-entry permit and make sure you understand that it's not a free pass. It's just one piece of evidence that you intend to maintain your residence. Second, you need to maintain strong ties to the United States. That means keeping a home here, even if it's just a rental, keeping a U.S. bank account, filing U.S. taxes every single year, keeping your driver's license active, and if you have children, keeping them enrolled in U.S. schools or maintaining their ties to the U.S. These are the things immigration officers look for when they're determining intent. Third, if you've been outside the U.S. for an extended period and you're planning to return, you need to be prepared for questioning at the port of entry. Have documentation ready. Proof of your U.S. residence, proof of your ties, letters from employers, lease agreements, tax returns, anything that shows you have not abandoned your status. Do not go to the port of entry unprepared, thinking that just because you have a green card, you'll be waved through. Those days are over. Officers are asking detailed questions, and if you can't answer them convincingly, you're going to face problems. Fourth, if you're already in a situation where you've been outside the U.S. for close to a year or more, you need to consult with an immigration attorney before you attempt to return. Do not just show up at the airport and hope for the best. An attorney can help you prepare, can advise you on whether you should apply for a returning resident visa, and can represent you if you face questioning or removal proceedings. This is not something you want to handle on your own. Now, here's what makes this situation even more dangerous. If immigration officers determine at the port of entry that you've abandoned your green card, you can choose to voluntarily surrender it, or you can fight it in immigration court. If you surrender it, you lose your status immediately, and you'll need to apply for a new immigrant visa if you ever want to live in the U.S. again. And that process can take years, and there's no guarantee you'll be approved. If you fight it in court, you'll be given a notice to appear, and you'll have to go through removal proceedings, and even if you win, the process is stressful, expensive, and time-consuming. And if you lose in court, you could be deported and barred from returning to the United States for years or even permanently. This is the reality of U.S. immigration news in 2026. The rules haven't necessarily changed on paper, but the enforcement has become far more aggressive, and green card holders are caught in the crossfire. USCIS update after USCIS update, we're seeing more cases of lawful permanent residents losing their status, and it's heartbreaking because many of these people had no idea they were doing anything wrong. They thought they were following the rules, they thought their green card was secure, and then one day at the airport, everything falls apart. But here's the good news. If you're watching this video right now, you're already ahead of the game. You're informed, you know what the risks are, and you can take action to protect yourself. Knowledge is power, and staying informed is the best defense you have against losing your immigration status. The key is to be proactive. to maintain your ties to the United States, to document everything, and to never assume that your green card is untouchable. It's not. It's a privilege, and if you don't protect it, you can lose it. Let me also say this. If you're a green card holder who has been living abroad for work, for family reasons, for education, whatever the reason, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm not saying you should panic. What I'm saying is that you need to be aware of how immigration officers are viewing these situations now, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. The last thing you want is to arrive at the airport with your family, excited to be back in America, only to be pulled into secondary inspection and told that your green card is being taken away. That's a nightmare scenario, and it's preventable if you know what to do. So here's my advice moving forward. Stay informed. Watch channels like US Visa Today, where we bring you the latest green card update today, and US Visa latest news that affects your life. Subscribe if you haven't already, turn on notifications so you never miss an update, and share this video with any green card holders you know who might be at risk. Comment below and let me know your situation. Tell me what type of visa or green card you have. Tell me if you've been outside the US recently. Tell me if you've faced questioning at the port of entry. Your comments help this channel grow, and they help other people in the community learn from your experiences. And remember, the U.S. immigration system is complex. It's constantly changing, and what was acceptable last year might not be acceptable today. The enforcement priorities shift, the policies shift, and if you're not paying attention, you can get caught off guard. That's why staying informed is so critical. That's why channels like this exist. We're here to give you the information you need to protect yourself and your family. This is a serious situation, but it's not hopeless. If you take the right steps, if you maintain your ties to the United States, if you document everything, and if you're prepared for questioning when you return, you can protect your green card. You can keep your status. You can continue living your life in America. But you have to be smart about it. You have to be proactive. You cannot afford to be ignorant of these changes. So take this warning seriously. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Make sure everyone you know who has a green card understands the risks. And most importantly, subscribe to US Visa Today right now so you never miss another critical update. Hit that subscribe button, smash the notification bell, and drop a comment telling me your visa or green card type. Let's build a community of informed immigrants who are protecting their future in America. Thank you for watching, stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video with more US immigration news that matters to you.